Hey there, clarinetophiles and filettes. You remember in the last video we talked about the high register and we discussed two things necessary in order to play it well. One was having good equipment, especially a well-balanced mouthpiece and reed to play on, and the other thing was what happens behind the nose, how to use your air and tongue position and your embouchure to get the best results in terms of beauty of tone and secure response. So there we see how mouthpiece and reed work together with all the stuff that happens behind your nose to make it easy to play the high register, not difficult. But there's one thing that we left out, and we're going to discuss it in this video, and it is the multiplicity of fingering choices that you have when you get above high C and go into the altissimo register. When most young players look at the high register, they assume that the higher the note is, the more difficult it is to play. Well, that's just not true, and experience bears it out. As they begin to experiment with the high register and look at the multiplicity of fingerings and choices, they'll find that some of the fingerings for notes that are very high come out much better and much more beautifully and much more securely than many of the fingerings for notes that are much lower. For instance, high A flat, high A, high F sharp, those have really beautiful fingerings that come out just as well, if not better, than, say, C sharp above the staff or D above the staff. And so it's a matter of experience that shows you that you shouldn't fear a high note just because it happens to be quite high, especially if you have the good fingering. Well, how do you decide on which fingering to use? Most people, when they're working on fingerings, trying to choose the right fingerings, they usually go to find a good fingering when they just can't execute the passage as far as their fingers go. And that's really not very cool, because fingerings, alternate fingerings, can be used for a lot of other things besides that. Better fingerings for response, better fingerings for color, and better fingerings for tuning. All those things exist on the clarinet, and just because a note appears in your elementary school book as the fingering that is commonly recommended, you might call the natural fingering on the clarinet, that doesn't mean it's the best responding, best tuning, and best sounding. That just means that the person who wrote the book really didn't know much about the clarinet. Okay? So what you need to do is to be creative in your thinking musically, and be creative in your thinking technically, and go through fingerings until you find a real satisfactory technical and musical solution for the passage that you're playing. And that means having a menu. And we're going to talk about that next. I hate to be self-serving, and I hate to be putting a shameless plug at you, but the best source that I know of is my own book on clarinet fingerings. This is a book that has, well, over 200 fingerings for the upper register of the clarinet. And they're all set out in menus, and each fingering is described in terms of its response and its resistance, its tuning characteristics, its coloristic characteristics. So these things give you a hint about what to use. Now, these things, say annotations in the fingerings, are just hints, because all they do is indicate that this fingering is generally the best or the better fingering. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be on your brand of clarinet, because clarinets are made acoustically different, and the things that are the very best on some models of clarinet are not necessarily the very best on other models of clarinet. So you have to keep that into consideration, and the really only way to approach it is not to take anybody's word for it, but to actually go through the fingerings yourself in the context of each passage and check it out for yourself. Besides, one of the other virtues of this book that I really like is that in the very back of the book, it's got a whole list of fingerings, or of fingering blanks that you can fill in for yourself and keep all your information in one book. When I was a student, I had fingerings marked all over my music, scribbled here and scribbled there, and I didn't have a single source where I could locate them and organize them and have them readily at hand to use. Until I put together my own book, and I thought other clarinet players might like it, so we published this in 1985, which is a long time ago. You remember that's when dinosaurs roamed the earth. And it's been a very popular book, and it's sold year after year after year for students in colleges and universities, advanced students and high school students who really want to know their stuff about fingerings. Well, this may sound a little abstract to you, but the fact is that you really have to do the fingering work yourself. You have to do your own leg work through these lists of fingerings. That's the only thing that really will work satisfactorily. And someone providing a list and providing you a source where you can consolidate your own list so you can study these things and improve your playing is a great benefit, but it's no substitute for you doing your own work on these things. And that's what I recommend that you do in order to get the best musical and technical results for the playing that you want to do. So that really completes our study of the high register. So, and just to summarize, we need a good mouthpiece reed setup, very well balanced reeds, well made mouthpieces. And we need to do the right things behind our nose in terms of our playing mechanics, air, tongue position, embouchure, and all that. And we need to experiment so that we have the very best fingerings, not just ones that we can execute fingering-wise, but ones that also sound more beautifully, play more beautifully in tune, have the better timbres, and have the more secure response. So all those things go in to really making you confident when you go up there and play the high register. And the rest of it now is just really up to you to go in, get the information, and do the work of application that will give you increased success in the future. And for that, I'd say good luck. Well, that's pretty much it for the high register. And I see we have a few minutes left on the video, so I want to take this time, because I don't think we'll get a chance to do another video before Christmas. I want to take this time to thank you all for your support this past year. We've hit over 600 subscribers, and that's pretty good for a Clarinerd website, you know what I mean? So we want to thank you very much, and if you haven't subscribed, just punch that little button. I don't know where it is now. It's up there somewhere. And subscribe, and you'll be able to get notification whenever we send out a new video. So thank you all so much, and also thank you all for supporting us and giving us the business to help us keep on keeping on serving you, and that is working with the clarinet and trying to help you play the clarinet. So you help us do what we love, and we hopefully do something to help you do what you love. So thank you very much. And if you get a chance between now and Christmas, take a look at our website. We've got some really great specials going on. If you need a great bass clarinet, we've got a terrific bass clarinet for a very, very low price. And this is your big chance. Or if you have a friend that needs a good bass clarinet, really outstanding tuning and playing, it's right there on the site. And this is your big chance during the Christmas season. Let's see, that's about all I can think of. So until next year, I'll see you all, and I hope these videos are helpful. Oh yes, don't forget to please call in or write in or whatever you do, carrier pigeon or mule or whatever, and give us your questions, okay? Because we try to do our best with the time that we have to respond, and hopefully give you some cogent answers to the questions that you have that never been able to find satisfactory answers for. And so until I see you next time, have a happy new year, a joyous Christmas, and a wonderful holiday season.